Well, it's almost over, but they'll be pointing fingers for a long time. Florida's legislative session is coming to an end. You'd think with a Republican governor and huge Republican majorities in the House and Senate, there'd be a unity when it comes to strategy and policy, but not so much. Kate Flexter joins us with more. Kate.
Thanks, Alan. Lawmakers appear on the verge of approving an $83 billion budget. Here's a look at some of the top issues with local impact. As quickly as it began, Florida's 2017 legislative session is over, with some major losses and some wins. The session began with tension, namely between Governor Rick Scott and House Speaker Richard Corcoran, when Corcoran looked to cut funding for the economic and tourism development agencies Enterprise Florida and Visit Florida.
I want to say I love the governor to death, but I've taken some slings and arrows over the last couple months.
People are just shocked that the House would even think about reducing marketing in the state for tourists.
And Corcoran was successful. This year's budget eliminates most funding for Enterprise Florida and drastically cuts the budget for Visit Florida. But that may not be the end of it. Governor Scott still has the power to veto the budget, which would force the legislature to start from scratch. For gun rights supporters, the session came with several losses. Sarasota Senator Greg Stubbe advocated for a series of controversial gun bills.
It's very important to me that people have the ability to defend themselves, and that's why I keep pushing bills like this.
One proposed allowing handguns to be carried openly. Another proposed allowing concealed weapons permit holders to be armed at legislative meetings, airport passenger terminals, and college and university campuses, among other locations.
There's no evidence to even suggest that the more guns we put in these areas is going to reduce gun violence or violence in itself. There's absolutely none.
In the end, none of the bills garnered much support. But there was one win for gun rights supporters, a bill that shifts the burden of proof in stand-your-ground pretrial hearings to prosecutors instead of the defendants. While legislators came close to an agreement, a bill to expand gambling in Florida once again failed. The bill would have allowed racetracks to end the controversial horse and dog racing and operate solely as casinos while expanding gambling to include craps and roulette.
A lot of it falls on us to make sure that we have things cleaned up.
Lawmakers also took on the state's heroin epidemic, imposing stiffer penalties for possession of a drug called fentanyl. Drug dealers whose customers overdose on the powerful painkiller will now be charged with murder. This comes after Governor Rick Scott declared Florida's opioid epidemic a public health emergency. According to the Florida Medical Examiners Commission, fentanyl caused 704 deaths across the state in the first half of last year. After 71% of Floridians voted to legalize marijuana for medical use, the state legislature spent a large part of the session deciding how to implement the program, discussing everything from how a patient can consume the drug to how many businesses can grow and sell it. The House and Senate proposed two similar bills with a few fundamental differences, and in the end could not compromise. A lack of action opens the door for patients to now sue state lawmakers.
We need to go forward and not backward. We don't need to rein it in. We need to expand and grow.
As you just heard, Governor Rick Scott still has the power to veto the budget, so this may not be the end of the debate.
Kate, thank you.